Hi, friend. It's Jessica Rector with the Say Yes Experience podcast. I'm so excited to share with you today something that was originated. The idea came from B-Man at just 10 years old. And through some working it out and fine tuning and tweaking together, we came up with the 5-minute method. Now, this all started and originated because when we were in Australia recently, there was an incident that happened. I had done a lot of planning, a lot of research, apparently not enough, but what I thought I had done a lot. And one of the things we wanted to do was go to these lava caves. And I thought, oh my gosh, B-Man's going to love that. That's so interesting and exciting. Now, we weren't staying anywhere in the vicinity of the lava caves. I was literally going to drive us 4.5 hours one way. We were going to do the lava cave tour, come back. 4.5 hours. So we drove 4.5 hours down there. And when we got there, they said, you have to have a reservation. You could feel all the energy drain completely out of us. We were devastated. And then they said, and we have no more available for today. What? I thought it was something that we could do self-guided. We didn't actually have to have a tour guide. We absolutely didn't need a reservation. There was nothing in all my research that said we needed a reservation. So I asked to speak with the manager, the supervisor, and he came out and I explained the situation to him and he said, not my problem. That is how he replied. Literally his exact words, not my problem. No compassion, no empathy, no understanding for me driving 4.5 hours one way and having to drive 4.5 hours back for no reason. He goes, not my problem. And so I was shocked that somebody would respond in that way. And he said, well, did you look on our website? And I said, no. Why would I look on your website? They were the tour guide company when I didn't even know that you had to go on a tour. And he said, well, did you look on the national park website? I said, I did. And there wasn't anything on there that said that you had to have a tour or that you had to make reservations for that tour. Anyway, so after going back and forth with him, I was extremely upset. And I left that encounter crying. And at the end, he said, too bad. It's not my problem. And I was in the car and I was frustrated and I was upset that I'd spent all this time. But more importantly, I was upset because this was something really cool that I knew B-Man Blaze would want to do. And Blaze says, it's okay, mommy. It's okay. So as we were driving back, the 4.5 hours back, by the way, the national park still did not, I went and looked again. They still had nothing up on like the main pages or about visiting or anything. They had something on safety, like their safety page about it. And I'm like, why would I visit the safety page when I'm looking for something about a tour or about something I'm wanting to do in the park? Because that didn't have anything to do with safety. So I would have never thought to look there. Anyways, so on the way back, I was incredibly upset and I was frustrated and I kept talking to Blaze out loud about it. And I was going over the conversation with that manager. And Blaze said, mommy, you get 5 minutes. 5 minutes and that's it. And I was like, what? What does that mean, 5 minutes? He goes, 5 minutes to talk about it, to process it, and to let it go. He said, because I don't want to hear about this the whole 4.5 hour trip back. He said, so work it out. You got 5 minutes and that's it. And I was like, what? 5 minutes? But the thing is when something doesn't go as we plan, whether it's a conversation, a situation, an experience, we don't get a job that we want or the promotion or the relationship doesn't work out and we part ways, whatever it is, we sit there and talk about it and dwell on it and think about it and think about it and then think about it some more and overanalyze it and overanalyze it. And then you're spending days and weeks and months thinking about this. instead of processing it quickly, figuring out what didn't work, what did work, and letting it go so you can move on. Because that conversation that didn't work out, the job we didn't get, the situation that didn't go as planned, all these things impact our mental health, impact how we're thinking, what we're thinking. You might hear your friends say, or maybe you've even said, oh, I had a really bad day today. But you don't have bad days, you have bad moments that turn into bad days. So that bad moment that you had, you started thinking about it, replaying it, rehashing it, telling it to this friend, and then retelling it to another friend and another friend, or you're posting it on social media, getting their feedback. And when you do that, you keep replaying it over and over and over in your head. So here's what the 5-minute method looks like. The first minute, when something goes astray, when something doesn't go as planned, when you don't get something you want, the first minute afterwards, you can vent, you can share it. So call up your friend and share it. Vent to your friend, vent to yourself, talk about it out loud. Whatever you need to do, you get 1 minute to do it. That's it, 1 minute. So that way you're not sharing it with this friend and that friend and this friend, and then your children and your parents and your colleagues and your spouse and all these people. So, and on social media, so now everybody knows about it. So 1 minute, vent, share, get it out there, explode, get mad, get angry, be frustrated, whatever that is, 1 minute. The next minute is for you to process it. Process it. Think about what happened. What happened? To really process it. Because if you're like me, you can think about it some more. You can analyze it and then analyze it and overanalyze it and keep analyzing and keep analyzing. And before you know it, you're spending all this brain power thinking and rethinking and replaying and instead of that brain power on something else that you want to be doing, or doing something that brings you joy, or spending that time with family, or being engaged with your child, or playing a game. Instead of doing those things that light you up to bring you joy, to make you smile, you're replaying this conversation, this experience, this situation, this encounter over and over and over in your head. So minute 2, you're processing it. Minute 3, ask yourself, and I got this from my super genius friend, Lisa Verhurick. Ask yourself, what was your part and what happened? So what was your part in not getting the promotion? What was your part in that conversation ending up in a fight? What was your part in the breakup? What was your part in the situation? Whatever that is, what was your part? So for instance, what was my part in what happened for 4.5-hour drive is I should have done more research and more looking. Although I felt like I did a lot, apparently if I had looked on every single page of that national park website, I would have eventually found that you had to have a tour and you had to make a reservation. I just went to the home page. I went to the About Us page. I went to what to see, how to plan your trip, all those pages. I didn't go to the safety page, and that's where it was. Because sometimes people don't think like you, right? People don't think the same way, in the same manner that you do. And so sometimes it's about thinking about it in a little different way. So next time, I would go to every single page to make sure I did my due diligence before I drove 4.5 hours one way. So it was a 9-hour trip for nothing, or what I initially thought was for nothing. So what is your part in that? And most of the time, if you're honest with yourself, and that's really what your part is about, being honest with yourself. What is your part and what happened? And when you're honest with yourself, most of the time there's going to be some part in it for you to own, for you to take responsibility for you to say, okay, if I would have done this, then this wouldn't have happened. So what is your part in it? Do you need to apologize? Do you need to do something differently next time? Do you need to articulate what you mean better so it's understood in a different way? Do you need to clarify what they're asking or what they're talking about or what they're needing? Do you need to get more practice so next time you interview better? What's your part in it? What's your part to own and take responsibility for? And then the fourth minute is, what is the lesson that you learn? Because when things don't happen the way we plan, when mistakes go on, when we expect a different outcome, there's always a lesson to be learned. So we don't repeat it next time. So the same thing doesn't happen in the same way next time. So what's the lesson that you've learned from this happening? For me, the lesson I learned is to research more, to never assume or to think just because it's not on the first several pages that it's nowhere on the website. To research. Go to every single page. And then also another lesson I learned is, even in another country, you can email. Again, I wouldn't have emailed this tour company, but I could have emailed the national park just to make sure that you have all the information you need. So can you email? Can you call? Can you reach out to someone? So what's the lesson you learned? And also make sure, the lesson I learned is make sure I really want to do it, because if I'm driving 4.5 hours one way and something happens and I'm not able to do it, am I okay with that? What's the lesson learned for you? Because when we learn those lessons, we won't do it in the same way next time. We learn, we grow, so we don't repeat that same mistake. What is that lesson learned? And then 5 is to let it go. Put it out of your mind, put it out of your thoughts, close your eyes, take some deep breaths in and deep breaths out, and let it go. Because the more you're holding on to it, the more it's sucking your energy, sucking the positivity, taking away the thoughts and the energy that you need to be using somewhere else, doing something else. So it's all about getting to that place of peace so you can let it go. So it's not following you around, taking hold of you. So it allows you to be open. Open your mind, open your heart, open your emotions to receiving the next thing that's coming your way, because there's lots of opportunities waiting for you. And if you're holding on to this thing, conversation, job that you didn't get, relationship that didn't work out, project that didn't go as planned, if you're holding on to this, you're not going to be open to receiving the opportunity that's in front of you. And what ended up happening is, on the 4.5 hour drive back, after Blaze and I had a conversation about the 5-minute method, and I let it go, we actually drove by a drive-in movie theater. And because we had the time, because we didn't go to the lava caves, I said, buddy, it's a drive-in movie theater. Blaze has never been to a drive-in movie theater. And it's been so long since I've been to one, at least like 20 years. So I said, buddy, do you want to go? Let's at least stop and see what's playing. And he said, yeah, that sounds like so much fun. So there was this little small town on the way back. We stopped by and he told us the 2 movies that were playing. And Blaze is like, yes, let's go. So we went in, parked the car, started watching the movie. We found out that wasn't the movie that was playing. So we stayed about 10 minutes. Blaze had already seen the movie and he didn't want to see it again. So we left. And I went on their website and looked up the movies for the next day. And we came back the next day and had an amazing time watching a double movies back to back, double hitter, if you will, movies in that movie theater the next night. And it was a movie Blaze really, really wanted to see the next night. So it was exciting. But if I had been holding on to that conversation that I had with the guy, feeling still frustrated and mad and disappointed and let down, I wouldn't have been open to seeing that drive-in movie theater as we drove by it, because it wasn't anything that we had planned. It wasn't anything I looked up ahead of time. I didn't even know it existed until we literally drove by it that night. And if we would have had the opportunity to do the lava caves, that drive-in movie theater would have already been closed. So we wouldn't have actually been able to go in there. I wouldn't have had the thought of, ooh, well, this is the movie we want, but let's come back the next day to see the movies we do want. So when you allow yourself this 5-minute method to really process it and to let it go, you allow yourself to be open to the possibilities and the opportunities that present themselves to you. And you can say yes to filling yourself up with that joy, that laughter, the smiles, the things that light you up, instead of holding on to the negativity and all the emotions and frustrations with that. So the 5-minute method is a game changer in your life, and it will change bad days into just bad moments. So you can easily move on to something bigger and better and reach your amazing potential. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.